Greetings, welcome. This is the first session on data organization or data management. I would like to first explain why we are doing what we are going to do in a moment. So for me, I would like to share my screen and begin with some basic understanding of the concept behind. I'm sure you remember either your time when you were a child and you had a room, and in that room you had a lot of toys. Some of the toys, as you can see, you used them during the morning, and by the time you wanted to go to sleep, your mom would ask you to actually clean up your room. You can see different types of toys. There are books, there are markers. This is one of the messy rooms, I would say. Actually, a very nice, good-looking, messy room. If I go for this kind of a room again, once again, you can see that I have Legos, I have some toys again, I have a bin, which is not properly placed. Everything is quite unorganized. If I ask you to enter the room and I ask you to find me a marker, would you be able to find one? You are going to look around, inspect the entire scene, and then say, possibly the marker you're looking for, not the pen and pencil, by the way, I said marker. And even if you take a look at this, it may not be really an easy task for you to find the marker. If I ask you to identify a pen in this one, again, that would be quite challenging for you to do that. On the other hand, if we have everything done and it is well organized, this is a very nice kids' room. You can see the books are there, the bins are properly seated on the shelf. Each bin possibly has a label. Sometimes parents put a label on this so that you know that this bin is for example, one kind of a toy, this bin is for a different type of a stuff that children use during the day. So that would be a very clean room, right? So, and then if you take a look at this one, even better, the handgun for splashing water on each other's, for example, playing outside, all of the books here, and then the push toys and all the drawers and everything else. That's a nice room. Now, I want to do a task here and I can't. I want to find a marker here and I can't. As a matter of fact, if I come in and I say, okay, here is a brand new marker, you're going to scratch your head and say, okay, where am I supposed to put that marker on? I don't know where to put in. Which shelf do I have to put in? Possibly you're going to just give it to the children and kids and let them play anyway. But when you come to a organized room, you're going to say, okay, this bin is potentially for markers, or perhaps this basket is for markers. And then you're going to easily put that in. If you take a look at the organized room, unorganized room, you can see that, for example, you can see that the combination of components in the room is not coherent. The colors, the type, the nature, they are not coherent. When I take a look at this room, I can say, listen, whatever is in this bin, their nature, their type is exactly the same. So that's the reason we want to do database and manage it. So we want to be able to have pieces of data. These are all pieces of data in different forms. It could be images, it could be text, it could be voice, it could be just words as simple as that, or it could be toys. And then you want to put them in proper organized manner. So this is what we would like to do. And if you bring in another book as a gift, your uncle, your cousin brings to you a gift for your birthday day, then you could potentially put that book in here. You would know where to put them in. That's the purpose of this class. We want to make this a little bit more professional. Let's take a look at another example. I'm sure you have seen a shopping list. Your dad, your mom, your brother has asked you to go and do shopping. If you take a look at this one, you can see some numbers here. You can see some text. You can see some characters here in this between. You have seen some abbreviation. You have seen some messy stuff on this one. If I ask you, can you tell me what this one is telling you? With some difficulty, you're going to say, okay, this is baked. something, right? And then you are going to have an extremely difficult time to see what this shopping list is actually telling you. Now, if I wanted to make it, or this is another example, you should be familiar with this. If you have a notes, a yellow notes, this is very common in notebooks or on a small yellow notes that you have. You have numbers and then you have some text, and the text may or may not be readable. That's what this one is. And it's going to make you angry because if I don't know how to read your handwriting, then I don't understand what you just did. So if my mother gave me the handwritten note and I didn't know how to read it, I take it to the store, to grocery shop, and then I say, okay, what does this mean? And then what are these empty spaces? What does 73 mean? What does 3 mean? I have no idea. This is not organized data. This is a data. Don't get it wrong. This is a set of data that you see, a bunch of numbers, a bunch of text, some of them organized, some of them underneath each other. Sometimes a number is going to come in. But then what about this one? This is very nice. If you take a look at this shopping list, you can see vegetables. I can easily connect with that. Tomato, cucumber, potato, everything. I can see the dash line. I could potentially have my shopping list, including related to my education, upcoming classes I need to take, perhaps some notes here and there, right? So that's what I could do. We want this to be organized. That's why we call data organization. We want to manage this list. That's why we call data management. So take a look at an Excel file. An Excel file could potentially be a product name. These are the months of the year: January 2018, April 2018, July and October. And then possibly you have had these expenses already, and the expenses are actually noted here. These are $sign. Everything is perfect. And then you just want to have some calculation done. This is an Excel file. It is true. It's very nice. It's organized. But there are things you cannot do with this. I'm going to show it to you in a moment. Let's take a look at another typical one. This is going to be the order date. Possibly you have gone to Amazon. You have placed some orders already on Amazon.com or whatever the site is, the e-commerce site that you have used, eBay, Alibaba, whatever you have. You have order date, the region the order is being placed on, basically the people name, the item that you have bought, the units, the number of units that you have actually ordered for pencil or pen, and then binder, for example, a unit cost and the total cost. This is organized. Don't get me wrong. This is organized. But the problem is there are many things you want to do and you can't. I'm going to show them to you in a moment. You can potentially take a look at this. These are really other times. For example, this is employee name. Then you have pay per hour and then total hours worked, overtime, total overtime, gross pay, income tax, other deductibles, and then net pay. This is a payroll Excel file. So if I ask you to travel in time to the year 1950, maybe 1800, even back to 1 BC or 100 BC or 10 AD, what happens is that you can use your handwritten notes on a tablet, possibly a stone or a Word, to record transactions. And those transactions, if not recorded by professional recorders, is going to look messy, not easily understood. If you write it on a paper, after the paper was basically established, either in China or in Europe and across the globe, you could be a person who is not really messy and careful with writing the information basically on a piece of a paper. If you travel up to, say, 1900 and so on, people get to know that if you are writing in a very, very nice way, then trading with you is going to be a lot easier. People would like to trade with people who have a good record of everything that is happening. Then computer came along, and when the computer came along, we had something called Excel sheet, a spreadsheet. And different companies came along and they basically brought in kind of a table that you see in front of you. And Microsoft Excel was able to take off and become quite popular and used broadly by different organizations at the time. But then this one has its own challenges that I'm going to basically explain to you in a moment. Take a look at my empty Excel file. So let me minimize this. I want to start writing something. I'm going to say Jeff, then I'm going to say this Jeff has worked 10 hours, and then I'm going to say, and then I'm going to say Jeff is working with Sheila. Sheila worked only 8 hours. I am using an Excel file. This is a Microsoft Excel file. But the question is this. If I wanted to, this is what I said. I said test Excel file. This is test Excel file. If I ask you to actually delete this file, let's see what it says. It says this action cannot be completed because the file is open somewhere else. When the file is open, someone else cannot touch it. You yourself cannot touch it outside of the shell you're working in. So if I'm writing Jeff and Sheila 10 and 8, practically making this Excel file to come to life, this Excel file is going to be embedding itself into my hard drive. And then this hard drive would not allow any operation, including deletion, to happen. That's not the only one that I could basically show you. If I'm writing Sheila, and if I give you my remote access while I'm typing, would you be able to type? No. The problem is, while my cursor, my mouse is actually on the side, I'm actually locked into that cell. It's not the entire file that is locked. Every cell I'm working on is actually going to be locked by me. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say Washington. While I'm typing this, you will not be able to say New York. You can't say Beijing, and the only way you can say Beijing is if I stop interacting with this cell, if I stop interacting and basically typing in that cell, then you could potentially, when you have remote access to my Excel file, to come in and write Beijing. That is not really something we would like to do, because what happens when you want to go and register for a course for a university you are enrolled in? Now, the deadline is 12 noon today, and everybody needs to actually come online. They have to select their courses, they have to accept the timeline, and they need to say submit. You and I know that the data that we have seen at the front eventually is going to go into something we call database. That's going to be an Excel file, similar to an Excel file behind the scene. The question is basically, how is it possible? How can I write into Excel file or the database behind the scene, and you can write onto the same database that is supposed to be secure, that is supposed to be handling basically different transactions at the same time? How is that possible? That's what we are going to discuss. We are going to talk about transactions and the way you can simultaneously, perhaps concurrently, you could access an Excel file. With that in mind, I hope the picture is clear. Once again, if you take a look at this, you could potentially see, another thing that I want to explain to you is that, for example, if I go to one of the Excel files that I have, for example, this one, right? And you can see that I have the Hunger Games as science fiction, and then the Harry Potter as the young adult fiction, and Twilight, a young adult fiction. And then possibly I have young adult fiction and everything else. Now, I want you to go in and fix and change and modify young adult fiction to young fiction. Do you see me changing that on the screen? When I say enter, granted, the cell is changed. But then I told you to fix a database or Excel sheet, a spreadsheet. Then you have to go and do it on every cell that you want to do. you need to go and do it on every cell that you want to do, right? Really? You want to do this on a huge file such as this one, the one that you have actually used in your lab number 1. This is close to, how many lines do we have? This one is close to, I think, 10,000 lines of code, lines of information, rows of information, I believe. I wish 5,000. I wish I could tell you what this one is. Let's see how many rows is. I think it's 5,000. Yeah, 5,044, possibly 43, minus the first row, which was on the attributes. Now, if I ask you to go in and change drama to drama ready, I'm just making up, just to show you the challenge. Do you really want to go and do this, all of that by hand? 5,043 rows. Do you want to go that and say drama ready, and then drama ready, and then drama ready, right? You want to do that by hand? No. Human time is much more worthy than just typing drama ready, and everything. That's a challenge we have. Now, if you take a look at this one, I'm supposed to have something like a kind of a distinction between the color and black and white and so on. There is nothing there. That's a null. The question is, what do you want to do? Do you want to really fill this in by hand? Do you want to even exclude this row? Do you want to say, okay, I want to exclude this row. I'm going to type in and I'm going to put my right-hand side cursor and I'm going to say delete. You really want to do that? For example, this one is missing. Then you are going to inspect it by eyes, and then I'm going to go and say, okay, let's delete. You can see that these 3 are missing. You can say, okay, let's do that. You see, this is insane. This is insane. If I ask you to go and fix this, or either enter the data, the missing data, the piece of the data that you need, or perhaps you need to ignore it. And there, you see, there is another one here. These are the challenges that are going. So not only the fact is we want to organize, but we want to be able to operate on that. For example, I want you to tell me what's the summation of this one and this one. I want you to sum this 3 together. So I'm going to say equal sum of this and this. Just 3 components in one column, one after another, okay? Okay, and I want you to do that. So you did it here, so you did it here, you did it this one, and then this one, and then this one, but I'm asking you to do this one, and then this one, and this one, this 3. Then I'm asking you to do this one, and this one, and this one, this 3. Then I'm going to do this one, and this one, this one, and this. You really want to use the human time to do this? We don't want to do that. And that's the purpose of database creation and database management. We want to be able to grab a specific operation in mind and do this rapidly on thousands of rows and thousands of columns in the fraction of time. That's what we want to do. Now, as you know, the next stage of a Excel file, when the computer came in, when Microsoft Excel file became quite dominant, it was something called Access, Microsoft Access. Microsoft Access is a very simple extension of an Excel file moving toward creation of database. So I'm going to stop now. I hope you got the picture, as in what we intend to do. And then the idea is I'm going to continue my topic on the slides themselves. Thank you. Stay